I had it in my mind that I wanted to find a place in the country. But it was tough going. It was difficult because there was no running water at the time. There were hard days, but it didn't put me into the idea of just giving up on it. Even if there was difficulties, I'd figure out some way of making them work. Damaged backs, broken ankles, you know, all of those kind of things that are setback, but nothing to the point that would cause me to think that, no, this isn't the way to go, I should try something else. Well, the story goes, this was just a few years out of high school, so it's going on 26 years now since I touched clay for the first time. And a fellow student, my friend Teresa, was working at the art gallery in Brandon, the art gallery in southwestern Manitoba. She was working reception. And she just happened to mention that, you know, have you ever thought about taking a class and would you be interested? And I said, well, sure. I'm kind of just out of high school, a couple of years of university, kind of wondering where I was going. So I thought I'd try it. And I took a class. This is the color the clay comes. This is the low fire clay that I've been playing around with. And what I've been doing with it is I've been putting slip on it, a black slip. So I get the clay body in a dry form, powdered form, and then I add a stain to it. And those pieces that are in the kiln right there, those two large vases, that's the end result. First instructor was the name of Jerry Tillepaugh, and he was a gruff guy, but I really liked the process. I just fell in love with it, and I became sort of a gallery rat, as it were, and I would do odd jobs and kind of help out in the studio, and along with taking classes from all the other potters in the program and classes. And then I started to hang around enough that they asked me to start looking after the studio. So I would fire the kilns, mix glazes, keep the studio clean, and try to keep up with the amount of product that was coming through from the students, getting it out in time for end of classes and things. And then I was asked to teach or supervise the end of a class from a potter, Eric Lowe, local fella. And he lived out in Kenton, so he was a good hour away from town. So he asked if I would look after the last hour, 45 minutes of class, so he could get back in relatively good time, family at the time, and things like that. So I started doing that. And then lo and behold, I was given the opportunity to teach a class of my own, and it kind of went from there. I think I worked personal care for almost 14 years. And those 14 years I discovered that if you don't make the effort, because as far as we know this is our only time around, if we don't make the effort now, when is it going to happen? Am I going to do a job that I hate for 50 years and then retire and die 2 years after I retire? Or am I going to do something that I love now and be fulfilled by it? So it was a hard decision to make after 14 years in a comfortable position, 3 weeks vacation, relatively good pay. Looking back, it wasn't all that great, but to make the decision to kind of give that up and take a different path, it was a hard decision, but it was the best decision I've ever made. I've been traveling number 10 highway between Brandon and Clear Lake for a number of years, right from my late teens till now. This area and Clear Lake and that sort of thing is one of my favorite spots. And I knew across the road this church wasn't really in my radar until I started looking for, and I knew about the church, and there was an old school across the way. Right in front of the old school is a well that has been there, a community well that's been there since 1880.
These will definitely get me through a break at work.
Oh yeah? Good.
I don't think I'd ever want to leave though.
The church, the elders, people that were running the church, basically bequeathed the property in the church to the community. And 5 landowners in the area had been given authority to the building and the property. So the 5 landowners were people that were people that had basically worked this land for a couple of hundred years, their relatives and descendants. And I said, I'm interested in buying the building and the 2 acres of land to turn it into a pottery studio, a gift shop, and then eventually a place to live. Even to this day, the church holds a lot of strong feelings for a lot of people that come from the area. So I wasn't going to move it. People had actually inquired about buying it to salvage it or to move it, and people in the area didn't want that to happen. So when I told them that this is what I want to do, it's going to stay here, I'm going to become part of the community, and they really, really liked that idea. I think for me, people would look at a board of mugs and think, oh, they're all identical. But you look closely, because they are made by hand, that there is a certain variability in 24 mugs on a board. And I like that. And the people that come to the gift shop, they like that too. They like the idea of the person's hands on the pot, making it individual, no 2 of them being the same. But I'm finding my way with a lot of my work, my teapots, mugs. People will look at the things on a shelf and say, well, that's a Jeff Bettle mug. I can recognize that. And that's a good thing. I like that idea that people can recognize my work without having to turn it over and see my mark or anything that looks like a Jeff Bettle mug. That makes me feel good. It's important for me to be called an artist. It's taken me a long time to be comfortable with being called a potter, because I'd look at what other potters that I know and appreciate what they've made and they've worked hard to make in kilns and stuff. And I feel comfortable with the term potter. I feel comfortable with the term artist. Actually, sitting above my door into the studio, there's a sign that says artist, and it's just a reminder for me to revel in that label, and it's an important label. I think it is. I think about the path that we take, and I think all of the ups and downs kind of mark you in such a way that makes it who you are now. I don't think I would have wanted to change it because things may not have turned out the way it is now, and I'm very happy with the way things are now. And I think all of that is kind of accumulated to this point. So by changing one thing a while ago, or it would have caused me to be on a different path, and I like the path that I've chosen.